Warriors coach Steve Kerr has certainly not shied away from making political statements as his role as the head coach of the Golden State Warriors over the last several years. Really, it feels like ever since Trump got in office, Steve Kerr has been more than willing to speak out about politics. Whether he's tweeting about it, whether he's doing it during NBA press conferences, Steve Kerr has made it very clear that he is a woke liberal and he will do everything he can to make sure his party stays in power. And apparently that includes appearing and speaking at the Democratic National Convention. Watch as Steve Kerr, USA basketball head coach, gives speech at DNC in Chicago. And that is what happened tonight. He even invoked Steph Curry's celebration while talking to the crowd of loyal supporters who are about to undo the democratic process and anoint someone for the nomination as president that no one actually fucking voted for in Kamala Harris. But let's listen to a little bit of this speech from Steve Kerr. And it's not exactly like he gets a ton of feedback or applause from the crowd either.
The compassion, the commitment to our country that we saw at the Olympics, that is what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have. And it is what our country needs. Leadership.
I think he thought there was going to be some fucking applause there, but there wasn't.
Real leadership. Not the kind that seeks to divide us, but the kind that recognizes and celebrates our common purpose. Think about what our team achieved with 12 Americans in Paris, putting aside rivalries to represent our country.
And yes, of course, Steve Kerr was the head coach of the U.S. men's basketball team that nearly lost to South Sudan in the warm-ups, but did go on, struggled a little bit at times, but eventually did win the gold medal.
Now imagine what we could do with all 330 million of us playing on the same team. Not as Democrats, not as Republicans, not as libertarians, but as Americans.
This is an NBA head coach, an active NBA head coach speaking at the DNC, at the Democratic National Convention.
In the words of the great Steph Curry, we can tell Donald Trump, night, night.
Absolute fucking cringe. But maybe one of the best comparisons of all came when people realized a line that Steve Kerr said here is very fucking interesting. And it's about how important it is to speak out, regardless of the consequences.
I know very well that speaking out about politics these days comes with risks. I can see the shut up and whistle tweets being fired off as we speak.
Maybe not tweets, but maybe videos like this.
But I also knew as soon as I was asked that it was too important as an American citizen not to speak up in an election of this magnitude.
It's too important not to speak up when you're talking about endorsing someone that has just literally usurped the person who was actually elected in the Democratic primaries. But you know when it's not important to speak out? When you're talking about actual human rights violations, maybe when you go over to China and you're willing to suck their cock and not say anything bad about them, you didn't want to speak up then, did you? When asked about human rights violations in China, what did Steve Kerr have to say to protect the NBA?
Actually, I don't. I mean, it's a really bizarre international story, and a lot of us don't know what to make of it. So it's something I'm reading about, and just like everybody is, but I'm not going to comment further.
Weird. So it's not important to speak out when you're talking about China and the actual shit that's happening there in that country, but here in America, you want to be lauded and praised for being so brave to speak at the DNC. Steve Kerr is a woke piece of shit. He always has been. And you know what? If he's coaching his team to win basketball games for the Golden State Warriors, doesn't matter what his politics are. I think Steve Kerr is retarded when it comes to politics. I always have. This doesn't change that. Now we just see, like in black and white, just what a massive fucking hypocrite he is. It's too important not to speak out now. But when I was in China, when I was asked about their human rights abuses, I can't say anything. I have no comment about that. Wasn't big enough to speak up then, was he? Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.